ES Audio.
From the Evening Standard in London, I'm David Marsland, and this is The Leader. Sir Ian McKellen and Roger Allam are currently on the London stage in their hit production Frank and Percy. Last week, they dropped into the Evening Standard Theatre podcast to talk about that and both of their incredible careers on stage and screen. This is a little taste of what's in that show. To hear the full special edition, search for the Evening Standard Theatre podcast on your provider of choice. This is a very fun interview.
So Ian McKellen, Roger Allam, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
First of all, Roger, can we ask, what's the play about?
Well, it's about two older men who meet while walking their dogs on Hampstead Heath, form a friendship from that, and also about the fact that they're quite lonely and looking for something in their life. And really it's their story about how it's difficult to, at that stage in life, to form any kind of relationship, really, but they do find love, and so it's rather hopeful and optimistic and very funny.
What first attracted the two of you to the play? Was it written for you? Because it's got
No,
things
it
in
was
it.
not. Ben Wetherill from Leicester, the town that produced Joe Orton. Ben had written a play that had gone down very well at the Bush, the tiny theatre in London, and then transferred to the National Theatre. Then during lockdown with the virus, Ben was out walking on his own with his dog, and the man whirred away, and perhaps he saw other dog walkers in the distance, or indeed talked to them, as dog walkers do. It's very easy to talk to someone with a dog in a way that you would never dream of talking to someone on their own, isn't it? I suppose if they had a cat, you might strike up conversation. But anyway,
Certainly if it was on a lead, yeah.
it came out of his own experience of perhaps feeling more lonely than normal, and out of his fertile imagination. I was reading this thing and laughing out loud, which is not easy to do. It was like reading an Alan Ayckbourn play or an Alan Bennett. I mean, there's something in common. There's an aptitude for hearing what is funny in dialogue. And I just thought this is going to go down a treat with audiences, and so it's proved.
It deals with ageing and grief and death and living a good life. But are those things that kind of occupy you at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Constantly, yes.
Oh, really?
I think because a number of people close to me have died fairly recently. My children, although they're young men, they still need us around as parents. And so I think about death and worry about it all the time.
And a play like this, does it allow you to sort of explore those? Because it certainly is a very tender look at the ageing process.
Certainly you do feel it.
And Ian, how about
There
you?
is death sort of hanging over this play, isn't it? I mean, Roger's character is a widower, and not fairly recently. I don't think a day goes by when I don't have quite a long period either talking about death with somebody my same age as me, or just thinking about it. You can't avoid it. I mean, nobody tells you when you're a kid that, well, they tell you you're going to die, but they don't tell you that your friends are going to die.
Yeah.
No, not to make it cliche, death is terribly permanent. But they're not coming back. And it's the memories, isn't it? And then you feel nostalgic and a bit bewildered and sad. So this play, from the pen of a 31-year-old, skips over these subjects sometimes in depth and sometimes very lightly.
Yeah.
I think it's a very, very cunning play. And the high spots, the dramatic moments arrive just when you need them,
Also, I suppose it's about finding the positive of finding someone else at that age as well, and just the glorious nature of connecting with people at any stage of life.
Absolutely, and that it is possible, even though it might be unexpected.
Yeah.
So although it's a gay love story, it could be said, or a gay rom-com, I think you've called it, I think it appeals to anybody. It seems to. And rather heartening for someone who remembers a time when, funny to put this into words, it was illegal to be gay.
Sounds mad, doesn't it?
It is incredible, isn't it?
Mad.
There was a time,
not
that long ago, when it was illegal to be what you were born. But when these two guys kiss, there's a roar of approval, isn't there?
There is, yes, it's lovely. Yeah.
From a perfectly ordinary theatre audience, which makes me think that theatre audiences are probably the best people in the world.
Yes, I think you're right.
Well, you know, they're on the whole socially liberal, aren't they? And they're interested in people and interested in things that they don't know about, and they convey their enjoyment. I think that's what's nice about people laughing out loud.
Okay, time for a quick advert. Remember, the whole interview is available on the Evening Standard Theatre podcast. We'll be back in a sec.
Roger, going back in time a little bit, you originated Javert in the London Les Miserables production. I just wondered how you look back on it now, because it wasn't the easiest start to life. It wasn't the record-breaking run that it is now, and film and all of that, and just what it was like at the time.
Well, to begin with, it was very, very long.
And loud.
Yes, and very loud, yes. But by the time we got to the West End, it had been cut a bit. But the thing is that it was always packed.
Yeah.
It was absolutely packed at the Barbican, and when we moved into the West End, it was absolutely packed there. Princess Diana came to see it at the Barbican, which was a couple of £1 million worth of free publicity, and then she came to see it again at the Palace, bringing Charles, which was another couple of £1 million worth of free publicity, I guess. So that helped.
Yeah.
I always, looked out, and it just there wasn't an empty seat to see. I thought that's what the West End was like. Alas.
Would either of you do another musical?
Well, I don't know if Roger knows, but I have subsequently appeared in Les Miserables.
Have you?
In the cut-down version, which is now often tours the country. And when I was in Newcastle 3 or 4 years ago, doing a one-man show one night, it was in the theatre where the rest of the week Les Mis was playing. And I was drinking with members of the company after their show one night, and they were singing the songs round the pub. It was absolutely delightful. And I was joining in with gusto, from what I could remember, having seen Roger in the original production. And then I said, "Oh, I'd love to be in Les Mis." And someone said, "Well, why don't you come and do the matinee?"
Sure.
So I said, "Absolutely, yes, but you must call Cameron Mackintosh and see if it's all right." Cameron Mackintosh is the producer. He came back immediately and said, "Exactly, but your character must have a name, and I want to announce it as the lights are going down that at this performance the part of will be played by Ian McKellen." No, I said, no, the point is nobody knows I'm in this show apart from the actors and singers on stage. But I did give myself the name of Hugo Victor. That's quite witty.
Nice.
And I disguised myself with an eye patch and a crutch and an old man's walk that I was very proud of. It was only when I got on stage on the barricades that I realised everybody else, of course, was a student. Everyone was meant to be young, and I was drawing attention to myself by playing a very, very old man. And the astonishing thing, Roger, we talk about microphones often because neither of them like having them, do we? Particularly not in plays. But they all have microphones, so they don't have to sing very loud. And when you're on stage with them, you can't hear them singing. What you hear is something happening over there where the audience is, which is clearly loud, but on stage, it's all rather calm. I find that very odd.
There's been an issue with audiences singing along with in the West End, in the sort of the bodyguard singing the big number. People are saying it's post-pandemic and unruly audiences. Have you come across unruly? Has it got worse post-pandemic? Or
they've been appreciative, and what you hope for from an audience. They haven't been drunk, or not noticeably anyway. But I mean, it's difficult, that, isn't it? I mean, in the 18th century, there was a riot in Covent Garden when they put the seat prices up. A riot, and they had to bring them back down again. There's been no riots about seats getting incredibly expensive.
Well, I've just done a pantomime. If the audience don't join in and sing along, you feel that the evening's not going very well. So it's only a matter of etiquette, isn't it, and what those people thought they were allowed to do. And if they say, "I've paid my money and I'll behave as I want," it's difficult to argue with it. But on the whole, the argument is, look, you're upsetting other people who want to enjoy it. But I don't think the person on stage should complain.
Why not, though? Because it's a courtesy for you who's doing your work.
Our job is to serve, and if the dish we provide is not approved of.
I hear a voice of dissent here.
I was once doing The Tempest at the Globe, and there was an American student standing in the yard. Prospero has this incredibly difficult speech talking about, what happened 14 years ago and all that. It's really tortuous stuff. And when I first mentioned Prospero's wicked brother, Antonio, this guy in the front, big pint of beer and stuff, went, boo! Like that. So I looked at him for a bit, not in an approving way, I can tell you. Then carried on as best I could. And then when I started telling Ariel off, he said, "Leave the poor spirit alone." I mean, it was extraordinary. No one else was doing anything like this. So he was disrupting the performance.
And what do you do when the aeroplanes go over and you can't be heard? Do you shout at them?
No.
Do you stare at them? Do you say no, no, no? I mean,
no. You can't.
If you're in the Globe in an open air theatre and someone shouts out, come on, it's
no. When they shouted out like that, standing in the front,
too personal.
What they thought is that they were at something else.
The very first entrance I made on stage in a meaningful way was at university. And I didn't know then I was going to become an actor, but I was in the company of people who were, and I was very excited. And I stepped onto the stage, and before I opened my mouth, someone in the Amateur Dramatic Club, where we were doing the show, said, "Get him off!" Apropos of nothing except my appearance. But since then, audience have been very friendly.
Did you was there no doubt that was about you?
Well, it coincided with my arrival on stage, yes, I think.
Coincidental or causal, do you think?
It was Derek Jacobi, actually.
And it didn't stop you becoming an actor, which is
or
great.
him, of course.
And that's The Leader. For more interviews, news and analysis, go to standard.co.uk or pick up the Evening Standard newspaper. This podcast is back at 4 p.m. tomorrow.